This is how I started tight line nymphing, probably 5 years ago, if not coming up on 6 years ago. I'm just going to reference some pocket guidebooks. And the nail knot attaching the leader material to the fly line. On this roll of fly line, at the very end of it, there's probably only 100 feet of backing. And the reason is I don't want this thin line to get caught up inside the spool, because this spool is not meant for tight line fishing. And you can see this perfection loop in here. And that's where we're going to start this, is at that perfection loop, because there's two of them. There's one here and one here, because the welded loop broke on my 3-weight line. So I got some 25-pound test here, and the perfection loop is you make a twist with going under, and then you see this back line right here? You're going to take your tag end and go under that through your fingers. And now you have 2 loops here. You're going to take the tag end and wrap it between the 2 loops. Now you can take your top loop and pull it through the bottom loop. And I'm going to make this one a little bit smaller. And then you can put this through here. Or you could take some forceps and grab that and pull it through. Now, before you pull this tight, your knot started should look something like this. Now you can work this loop and make it smaller, as small as you want. Then you just pull your tag end. I'm going to go just a little bit smaller. Does not have to be, but I'm just showing that you can make it as small as you can by being able to put your forceps inside this knot so that you can tighten it up and pull on that as hard as you can. So that is how you get your loop-to-loop connection inside the reel there. Do it one more time. Under through your fingers, over top. So now you're going to connect this line to your fly line. You know the knot. Now, what I have here is about 30 feet of 20-pound test. Now I'm going to run that line down to, when I started, I ran that line down to a Euro kit. I'm going to use this one in the video. I'm going to cut this thing apart and tie it to that. But some other companies sell the 30-foot leader inside of the kit. Now this is an 11-foot leader. This is technically your fly line. This I'm replacing with 20-pound test. That got me started. And yes, I did try this a couple of times. As you can see, the ends cut off of it. But we're gonna open this packet up here and take this off. Now you're gonna put it over your hands just like any other leader, and you're going to start with the big end and fish it through itself until it comes undone. Now the reason I'm going to cut this is so that I can put an actual strike indicator on here. Once you get that undone, just hold it and it keeps going. Okay, so now you see the cider material. It's different colors. This one's tri. It's white, green, and orange. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here and I'm going to leave a big tag on here so that I can grab a hold of it later. So I'm going to cut that much off. And I'm going to take a bobber stop and put a bobber stop on this line. Oh, I lost the line. There's line going everywhere. Now the focus is going nuts. I'm going to slow down. Now this is a foam strike indicator and it comes with a toothpick. You could put a toothpick in this, but I like the little bobber stop. So I'm going to put this through here and put another bobber stop on this line. Now once again, this is just at the beginning, just to get me started to learn how to do this, because I actually used a 6-weight fly rod, a Reddington 6-weight. Uh-oh, I lost my tippet ring. There it is. Little baby tippet ring. Alright, so I'm just going to clinch knot this on here, probably 4 twists, because this is already 2x cider. So I'm just going to do 4. Always wet your knot. And then because I have a tag, I can grab a hold of this tag end with my forceps, if I can get it left-handed, and then come on, focus, not going to. And I can pull that knot tight. And then I can come over here and switch, cut this other knot off. Now, when I started, I left that tag on there for a visual for me to see. So now, oh, you know what I didn't do? I messed up. So I got this loop here that is not going to fit on this. It's not going to. So I'm going to cut this off and make a bigger loop. Oh, I can just use this loop, can't I? Yes, okay, so this loop's not taut. You can see I put a big glob of UV resin on there. I'm going to cut that off. I'm going to make my loop. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger because I got to fit that bobber indicator, whatever you want to call it, through that. So now I'm going to cut this as close as I can on that perfection loop. And yes, that's big, normal, but I messed it up. What else is new? Alright, now this thing's one big giant mess. I'm going to take this loop of the leader and go over the 20-pound fly line. Then I'm going to take the strike indicator and put it through that and pull all this 13 feet through. And when I first started doing tight line nymphing, I practiced it with a 6-weight for 2.5 years. Now, even though that's a really big loop right here, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Most of the time, when you're fishing a 10-foot rod. I started on a 9-foot rod. And what I had to do was I just shortened my leader so that these knots were always out of the guides in the rod. And then this is 30 feet long. So for you to get to that perfection loop, 2 knots right there, you need to run out 30 feet of line. On top of the 13 or 9 or 10 feet of your leader. So you're going to come down back to your leader. Now you have your tippet ring on there. Now this is cider material. And your tippet depends on the depth and all that stuff. But what I'm getting to is this strike indicator can now move. Now it's in the white section. So normally this would not be under the water. The tippet ring would just be touching the water. But what I did was I put this here so that I could see it and learn off of it. And Rio made a little hollow, it kind of looks like a parachute post that is also really good for this. You can do that same thing here with these bobber stops. The problem with the bobber stops is they only fit on thicker diameter line. So this is 2X, and I will tell you right now that it's not quite tight enough. So if you had a 0X cider material, if you even use a cider material, because now this becomes your cider. So I have a knot here that you can take a Sharpie to and color whatever color you want to. So you can see that, and then you leave this above. And anytime you see this stop moving, wow, it's not even on camera. Anytime you see either one of these two stop moving, set the hook. Most of the time it's a fish. If it's in the same spot, it's probably a rock. So you need to change your depth. So then you're just going to slide this down. That just went 6 inches in the matter of a second. Now when you get better over the years, I've actually went and bought a Euro rod 2.5. Oh, dang it. I just unplugged my cord. 12, 22. All right, well, I got up to get something and I tripped on the cord. So I'm gonna plug that back in, come in here. So, oh geez, I'm knocking things everywhere. All right, I don't even remember what I was saying. So for 2.5 to 3 years, I practiced with a 6-weight. And then in December 26th of 2022, so 3 years ago, I bought an actual tightline rod and reel and did the whole setup. But this is what got me started. I didn't know if I wanted to get into tightline, so I practiced for 2.5 years. Now I have a couple reels, so I was able to switch them around. I was able to try this one if I got frustrated with it, which you will at first, because this is a skinny line. I just switched over to a different reel and just went back to traditional weight forward line. So give it a try. Another thing, this tagline on this tippet ring, this little tag right here, you could see that. That you can really see that, especially if you get into a different color. You know, you can cut this anywhere, tie a blood knot into it, and then have little tags coming off. But wind does catch it every once in a while. Now, instead of a 20 pound, I have 15 feet of 12, 15 feet of 8, and then 30 feet of 6 pound test. And that 6 pound test goes to a 2X or a 4X cider material, tri-cider. And I'll get into that in another video. This is just a little intro.